Welcome back on this Tuesday. We're going to wrap up Luke chapter 2 today. And we are wrapping it up by looking at this passage of Jesus when he was 12 years old. Really, the only words that we have about Jesus from the time he was a toddler, most likely in Matthew chapter 2, all the way until he begins his ministry, which we will focus on here in a bit as well. But that time, about 30 years, is really lost except for this one passage. And it connects to what we read at the end, remember, of how Jesus was filled with wisdom and the favor of God. Well, we're going to see what that looks like. Reading Luke chapter 2, verses 41, through 52. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up according to the custom. And when the feast was ended, they were returning. The boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem. His parents did not know it, but supposing him to be in the group, they went a day's journey. But when they began to search for him among their relatives and acquaintances, and when they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem searching for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. And when his parents saw him, they were astonished. So his mother said to him, "Son, why have you treated us so? Behold, your father and I have been searching for you in great distress." And he said to them, "Why were you looking for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" And they did not understand the saying that he spoke to them. And he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was submissive to him. And his mother treasured up all these things in her heart. And Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man. So the Passover feast, if you remember that, the Passover was the feast, really, that set up the whole presentation in the temple to begin with when he was 40 days old or so, to give offerings for the one who opened the womb of his mother, as commanded, I guess you would say, in Exodus chapter 13. Here, as we look at this, it's going back to the Passover again. And this was one of the pilgrimage feasts. It was commanded again by Moses. It was during the time as they were leaving Egypt. The 10th and the final plague, if you remember, was the death of the firstborn son. Every firstborn son from every family whose door was not marked with the blood of the Lamb would be put to death. But God had given the Israelites the sign that they were to use so that the destroying angel would pass over their house. It was the blood of the Lamb, as I mentioned, on the doorpost. And as a result of that miracle, every year they were to celebrate the Passover. And it was one of those pilgrimage feasts to go into Jerusalem to the temple to expand on it. To continue to learn and to celebrate, I should say, what was going on. There is a connection, strong connection, I believe, between this passage and what would happen at the very end of the book. Why did Jesus go to Jerusalem on that last week? Because it was the Passover. To celebrate the Passover as he did as a child, as was required by the Lord. Going there. And I see a parallel between that time at the end of his life and here while he is a child. The parents left him there. And you might say, would that happen? Well, he was part of the group. Family and friends were traveling with them, most likely assuming that Jesus was just with one of the family or friends, but he wasn't. When they returned, and were looking for him, it said after 3 days, on the third day, wow, 3 days. Isn't that another connection to what happens at the end of the book? That Jesus is in the grave on the third day he rises again? I see that connection there. But can you imagine Mary and Joseph as they were wandering Jerusalem trying to find Jesus, right? I was entrusted to take care of the very Son of God, and I lost him. Parents would be panicked at simply losing their child, but this is the Son of God. When they found him, his comments speak a lot. Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house? The importance of the temple we will see throughout the life of Jesus. We've already seen him twice in the temple to be dedicated, to fulfill the law, to come on that Passover time as well. Verse 52 is very similar to how we wrapped up yesterday as well, right? And Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man. And with that word, we have nothing more until 20 years later when we see John coming back into the picture. We'll discuss more about that tomorrow. I hope to see you back then. God bless.